Warning: the following podcast show that you're about to listen to will include explicit language and content in which you, the members of the audience, may find offensive. Audience discretion is advised.
Welcome to another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience.
Yeah, boy.
Where anything and everything is a subject matter on the show, and no subject matter is ever taboo.
Damn, that's what's up with you.
And now, your host with the most, Mr. Kim Hoang. Bro, am I getting paid for this?
Welcome to another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, coming at you over at the Prototype Studios in Wheaton, Maryland. This is your boy Kim Hoang, the Asian sensation, back at it again, providing great content. As you know, I go by many monikers. I am the host with the most, the man with the plan, the guy that can bring the power within the hour, and the dude with the right attitude. And it is an honor and a pleasure to be here to create content for you guys, to be here over in the Prototype Studio with the mic basically in front of my face and just do what I do best. You know, I love what I do, how I do it, and so forth. And it brings me much joy and it brings me much happiness to bring this content to you. And I just want to say thank you so much to everybody that has loved and supported me for all this time, through the challenges of having a podcast from the beginning until this very moment in time. Also, I want to actually, before I get into things, I actually want to share, something really cool that happened recently. I got a chance to revisit the old stomping grounds. As everybody knows, I was born and raised, sorry, let me rephrase that one more time. I was born and raised in Annapolis, Maryland. And I had a chance recently to go back home and visit the old stomping grounds. Now, everybody knows that I currently live in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, basically about 5 minutes away from the Washington, D.C. borderline. But where I live, it is about, I want to say, 35 minutes to 40 minutes, I think, away, going to Annapolis. So it was good. It was good to go home. It was good to just do all the things that I do on a normal basis, that when I have free time, and meaning that I just don't go to Annapolis to train in martial arts, but when I actually have free time, it is incredible. It is wonderful. I went to all the places that I enjoy normally going, things like the Annapolis Mall, downtown Annapolis. Where else did I go? I went over to an area of Annapolis where they actually have the Target store. So that was really cool. And, I was just hanging out, man, and it was great. It was super awesome. I also got to I also got a great chance and an opportunity to bump into some people that, I grew up with, family members, friends, and people that, were a part of my school life, my educational life, like teachers and so forth. So it was really good. And to catch up with them and to know that they're doing well and they're doing awesome and, they're doing great things for themselves. And I really appreciate, those people that just said that, you were an amazing person, you're destined to do great things, and, we're just proud of you that you're going on in life and you're finding your way. And to them, I just want to give them a quick shout out and say thank you. And I love you guys, and I think it's great, and I think it's wonderful. And they even were surprised and embraced the fact that the podcast here, the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, does exist, and they promised to be subscribers and followers and like the podcast, which is incredible. Who can ask for anything more, honestly? And just want to say thanks. I really want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. It means a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and start this today. This is something of an old subject matter that I've talked about. And I want to go ahead and revisit that because, now let me just start from the beginning. For those that listen to my podcast show, many, many moons ago, a couple of episodes back, maybe like a season or two ago, we were talking a little bit about, the road to the black belt, just like the journey of getting there. However, it has been brought to my attention that a lot of people have been talking about, shortcuts. And what do I mean by shortcut? The fastest route possible, the shortest way of getting to the black belt level. They think that there's some kind of cheat code or just like a secret door to get to the route quicker. And I think as a martial artist, as a third-degree black belt in the art of Muay style of Taekwondo, it's my responsibility to kind of, address the subject and to kind of like break down the stereotype and the stigma before there's like a huge misunderstanding and before people take whatever information that they got and basically follow it, which is the wrong way. And I'm gonna go ahead and break it down for you guys. You know what I mean? Now, I know that a lot of people may complain, oh my goodness, he always talks about certain things about the martial arts, which to my defense, I will say, number one, just because I am putting it in a method that I understand or, that I can relate to, which is the martial arts, doesn't mean it's not transferable to anything that you do in life in general. This right here about taking shortcuts could be anything, about, goals or fitness dreams and things of that sort, or aspirations or stuff that you want to do in your professional life. It is all relatable and can be transferable. I'm just kind of explaining it in a way that I can relate to the most, and trust and believe when I say that it's very much relatable on all subjects. But for this particular situation, I'm putting it through a martial arts sense. We are using martial arts specifically in this particular situation, but again, it is transferable. So, I have mentioned before that, a martial arts journey to the black belt is a good one, and it really depends on the situation of the individual of how well or, how they take that journey and how well it's received and how dedicated they are to that craft. You know what I mean? For some people, they get it and it's great. Some people take a little bit more time, because it takes a little bit longer, which is okay. Some people, they just take as much as possible of time and understanding, but still stay in the race to complete the mission and get the job done. Now, somewhere along the way, there has been a mistake where people believe that there is a shortcut and there are ways to get over to the black belt faster, which I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that is completely untrue. There are no shortcuts in life to earn, a prestigious rank like that. There is no cheat code. There is no, secret, vitamin in a pill or medicine that will help you to get there faster. You know what I mean? If that was the case, that would be out in the open market, like on Amazon Prime, a GNC or something like that, or the vitamin store, and they would have it on a shelf. But even still, if that was to be the case, it's not FDA approved. So if it's not FDA approved, then you can guarantee the fact that your method of a shortcut is not going to happen. There are no substitutes for, a shortcut. It takes, true dedicated work. It takes, that much discipline, that much concentration, and that much focus to go ahead and do what you need to do in order to get the job done. And it's important for you guys to actually go through those steps, because you're paying your dues. You're actually absorbing the information bit by bit by bit. And in order to absorb it, you have to learn it, and then you have to repeat what you have learned. If you don't know the steps 100% of the way, that's okay. You can still, keep at it and keep learning until you get it right. But there are no shortcuts. There's nothing that tells you that you can go straight from white belt to black belt within like 1 month. It's not how it works, ladies and gentlemen. You got to go ahead and go through the same type of process, the same system, just like every other black belt did before they even earned that prestigious rank. Now, let me give you a little bit of a piece of advice. I wouldn't call what I'm about to say like it being a shortcut per se, but it might increase your chances of probably getting there faster. And it isn't cheating. It isn't taking the miracle pill. It's not taking somebody else for you to do the test for you. And this is where I came from. Before I became a black belt, I was really hungry. I was really hungry, and I really wanted to succeed, and I really wanted to do well. And I wanted to also at the same time keep up with my training. So believe it or not, I trained 6 days a week, guaranteed. I trained 6 days a week, and I attended the classes that I was permitted to attend. Meaning that if there was a class that I could definitely go to and it was okay, then I attended it. And I'll give you an example. On a Thursday, there would be an all-belt class from 4 o'clock until 5 o'clock. And I was like, okay, cool. I want to attend that class, because that way, at least maybe I can make one class, for that day. And if it seemed like, I could work, to get this class and another class, I definitely would. Like example, if my day was free on that Sunday, 4 to 5 o'clock, I would attend the all-belt class. I would take a little bit of a break. From 7 to 8 o'clock, blue, brown, and black belt class. That was like an advanced class. I was a blue belt at the time. So I could go ahead and attend that class, which was good. You know what I mean? Because now, once again, we are, kind of reinforcing my knowledge and what I need to know. Then, from 8 o'clock until 9 o'clock, there was a special class called Forms class, where it's dedicated to the students to, work on their forms and, learn the forms that they need to know for their next belt examination. So it was like you were reviewing all the forms that you already know prior, and still reviewing and learning the new forms that you needed to know for the next class. And that one was pretty easy, because all we were doing was forms. All we were doing was practicing. And if we needed help, we could go over to, the higher belt ranking person, the higher ranked belt that would be able to help us out with a little something. Or if the master was available, then we could say, hey, Could you please help us out and review? Now, if you add that up, taking all the classes that you can on an everyday basis that you're permitted to, that does kind of help your chances a little bit. It's not guaranteed and it's not a shortcut, but it does kind of help out a little bit. Like, wow, this person's really serious about their training. They're learning at a very good rate. They're showing improvement every single time. That may increase your chance of getting there faster, but it's, not a finalized decision. That's going to be up to the instructor and the headmaster and the grandmaster and all that stuff. Whoever runs the school and who owns it, and they see your progress and they see the stuff that you do, can only make that decision. That is probably like the legal shortcut, if I could say that. But again, it's not guaranteed. And, again, there are no shortcuts where, you can shortcut your training just in hopes of thinking that you can get to where you need to go, or only attend so many classes when you didn't attend enough classes and thinking that that's going to get you by. No. You have to go ahead and put in that work, put in the long hours, get that training, show that you can actually do it, prove that you can do that, and maybe that, you can get over to the next level. But until then, no shortcuts in life. Especially in the martial arts, there's no shortcuts in the martial arts. So let me put it to you like this once more. There are no shortcuts in the martial arts to get to the next belt level, especially in the black belt rank, just like there are no shortcuts in life. If you decide to take a shortcut, you're only cheating yourself. And when you prove that the shortcut doesn't work, I guarantee you that it's going to sting really badly. And you just prove to the world that that can't be done. And that would make you realize you shouldn't have done it in the first place. Just saying. So to all my, martial art brothers and sisters out there, just know that the journey is long, but it's a good one. Slow and steady wins the race. It's not about taking the path, the short path to get to, the actual finish line, because the shortest route could be the most dangerous route and could actually be the route where it might cause you more harm than good. So stay in the race, do it the right way, make sure that you're, putting in the work and you're showing your dedication and doing what you need to do in order to be promoted, to get to the next level. And I promise you, if you actually do it the right way, and you work hard at it, and you show everybody that, you're a pro, that you're really good at your stuff and what you do, you're going to succeed without question. That's just my opinion. We're going to go ahead and take a little bit of a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about some stuff on the second segment. So do what you need to do, but come right back, because the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience is coming in red hot. I want to tell you about an amazing store that's really good for all musicians, music enthusiasts, and a whole lot more, which is Chuck Levin's Washington Music Center in Wheaton, Maryland. That's right, you heard it correctly. Since 1958, Chuck Levin's has been actually tearing up the game when it comes to the music scene. And guess what? Since 1958, they have been the store to go to and a must-visit destination for any serious musician passing through our nation's capital. So, if you're actually a person that's in a band looking for a new instrument, such as an electric guitar, an acoustic guitar, a bass guitar, or maybe some drums, if you're a DJ looking for like the greatest DJ equipment, such as turntables and so forth, they got you. Hey, are you actually in an orchestra playing a woodwind instrument, brass instrument, or strings? They got you. They got all the classical instruments that you need. And let's not forget, for all my fellow podcasters, need a microphone? They got you. Need a podcasting vocal track recorder? They got you. They got everything, man. And I'm telling you, it's the best place to go. So if you want to check them out, go ahead and do so, because right here at Chuck Levin's, they're the best. Forget the rest. Mess with the best. Located over at 11151 Veers Mill Road in Wheaton, Maryland. They're open Monday through Saturdays, 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. If you want to know more about what they have to offer, you can go over to chucklevins.com online or give them a buzz at area code 301-946-8808. Chuck Levin's Washington Music Center. Like I said before, don't worry about the rest. Mess with the best.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
Recently, it was one of those moments where I was kind of in shock because I didn't really expect it. But somebody that I knew, a couple of people, matter of fact, actually had tagged me on a post on social media. Now, normally when I think about that, I think like, okay, maybe it has to do something about something of my interest, which sometimes it would probably be like, hey, check out this thing about the martial arts, or check out something about podcasting. To my surprise, it was none of that. It was none of that at all, and I was really quite surprised about the whole thing. I was like, yo, apparently this thing was about an ad or something that was actually mentioned by an organization called the Wesley Indie Film Awards. Now, the Wesley Indie Film Awards, and I'll try to explain this in the best way possible, is a local, film awards event. It usually takes place around this time, around November, and it's over at Waynesboro, Pennsylvania, which over from the Washington, D.C. area, depending on where you are, it takes about like an hour and some change to get there. So that's not bad. That's not bad at all. I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. I'm definitely, interested, and especially when I found out specifically what I was tagged for was really, surprising to me. And I have it here because I have the post. And it said, according to the Wesley Indie Film Awards, if you or someone you know has a podcast, we are looking for people to interview the nominees at the awards show. Spread the word. And I was quite shocked, because I had, and I'm counting it right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As of right now, I have 6 people that actually mentioned my name. Most of them are people that have actually had interviewed on my podcast show. A lot of actors, writers, things of that nature. Even a fellow podcaster in Brian Doucette, who actually has his own podcast show, Everyday Martial Artist. So I was quite shocked when everybody just started nominating me and just putting my name out. And that's incredible. That is absolutely incredible. Just the thought alone, of just being out there, me being a podcaster that I am, and to, possibly be there and to do that event. I told myself I was going to be there regardless. But for the fact that I possibly, and I'm saying it right now as possibly because I didn't get the position, The Wesley Indie Film Awards did not directly contact me and say, hey, we want you to be in it. You know, in terms of you being the podcasting guy and so forth. I noticed that there are a lot of people that have their names, you know, tagged into this thing. And I think it's incredible and wonderful. And some of these individuals, I didn't even know that they had their own podcast. And it's funny because some of these names that are mentioned out here, you know, I know them. And I'm like, whoa, this is quite interesting. But this is also cool at the same time. Like, yo, this is great. This is wonderful. And I got to say this. That just goes to show how much respect that you have in the industry. When you're a person that is a podcaster and you do the things that we do in terms of talking to people and interviewing them and having a good time and making it about them, you know, making it so that we know much more about their creative processes and their, you know, creative mediums. I think it's awesome. Or just for the simple fact that you're a podcaster and you constantly, you know, create content on a weekly basis. I feel that's really cool. And the fact that there are people out there right now that have, you know, nominated me, I am really touched. I am really touched, and I'm very honored to even be mentioned. Now, this doesn't mean right now at this moment, I'm going to tell you right now, I am not in it. Again, I did not get contacted by the Wesley Indie Film Awards in terms of we want to hire you. But that doesn't mean that I don't want to throw my name in the hat. Now, for all these people that are, you know, tagged, and I guess, you know, for a lack of a better term, or just by common sense, they're probably podcasters. And I think that's great that, you know, a lot of podcasters are out there getting their name mentioned and possibly getting the position. And I think that's great. And I think there, you know, I wish there was a room for a lot of us, because there are a lot of great podcasters out there that are doing their thing. Even on the local circuit, it's incredible. But, I mean, if I had to defend myself and I really had to sell myself, I would say, look, I've been doing this for quite a while. You know, almost 5 years into the game. We're about to be in season 5 in the new year. I have talked about anything and everything known to man when it came to a solo episode. I've probably interviewed a fair amount of good people with great talent and great creative mediums. You know, I've gone as interviewed recently a guy by the name of Gio Corvera, who's a professional stuntman who actually does stunts for major Hollywood movies and TV shows. I've also interviewed Daryl Vidal, who is a martial artist who was one of the original actors in the original Karate Kid film back in 1984, who recently, you know, went and got hired to do Cobra Kai, you know, and the final season of the final part of that whole series, which is incredible. And I feel like, for me, I feel like I would be the guy that could do the job well. I think I would give my flavor. I definitely have the experience, and I know how to talk to people. You know, the one thing that my fellow guests that go over to my podcast and are interviewed in my podcast, my guests will tell you that they felt comfortable. You know, they really felt great. They felt included, and they felt like, wow, you know, Kim just actually talked to me like I was like a guy next door and that we grew up together. And I think that's the kind of dynamic that I think that a lot of podcasters should have, We're not there to attack people. We are not there to, to play the childish games of the drama of, the he said, she said, and all this stuff and everything. We're here to celebrate, life. We're here to celebrate people and what they do, and we're here to celebrate about ourselves. And it would be a great opportunity for this podcast to actually be associated with the Wesley Indie Film Awards. Now, again, the Wesley Indie Film Awards is an award show that's very similar to something that's very local here. And the WMIFF Awards, which stands for the World Music Independent Film Festival. The only difference is that, obviously with the WMIFF, not only do they concentrate in the world of acting, but they also concentrate in the world of music as well. And the Wesley Indie Film Awards is more film-based. They have a lot of categories in certain genres, like best comedy film, best horror film, best actor in a horror series or something like that. And I think it's really, really cool. I think it's something that's, obviously it's different than other award movie, events, but it still makes quite the impact. And I think that's amazing, and that is awesome. And if I was to be a part of it in that sense, I think it would be incredible. If I will or not is yet to be determined. But I'm definitely throwing in my name in the hat and letting people know that I'm very interested. I'm interested in this position. And they usually say, if you really want something, you got to go after it. You can't be complacent. You can't just sit around in your duff and wishing that this stuff will happen. I'm shooting my shot, as they say. I'm taking the ball and I'm, trying to sink the three-pointer. And I hope that, maybe, just maybe, that I might have a shot. If I don't, and they say, hey, you're not the one, it's not the end of the world. I know that there's a lot of great talented podcasters and people that, do a good job in some way, shape, or form. And, I totally get it. Like in the acting world, it is very competitive. So you can't really take that serious, or personal, I should say. You shouldn't take it personal, but, either way, I feel good. I feel happy knowing that I'm doing what I'm doing right now, knowing that I'm providing great content and I'm just doing exactly what I want to do, which is record, have fun, do me, and just have people listen to my voice and what I have to say. And I think that, if I continue to keep doing that, I think that would be a good thing in life because I enjoy my creativity in podcasting. I love the process. And I just love the fact that, every time that I record an episode and it's uploaded and ready to go for the listening pleasure of, the audience, I can't help but just to say, man, that's awesome. Well done. So if I had to leave with anything, I would say, hey, the Wesley Indie Film Awards. This is your boy, the host with the most, the man with the plan, the guy that can bring the power within the hour, and the dude with the right attitude. Your host of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. Kim Hoang here. The Asian sensation is here. I think I can do it. And, we'll see what happens, and you guys will, be in the know. you'll get an announcement in some way, shape, or form, letting you guys know whether or not if I did get the position or not. I know that for a fact I'm still going to go regardless. It's going to be amazing. And real quick, and I want to spread this out there for people who want to actually check it out, which is, if you want to go, and if you want to see it, and if you want to be there in person, it's going to be happening on Sunday, November 16th, 2025. And it's going to be over at the Triggers Table and Tap Room over in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. And the address is 118 Walnut Street, 17268-1669. It starts at 3 p.m. There is no dress codes, but, if you want to dress up, you're more than welcome to. And I think that it's going to be about, 4 hours, maybe, about 3 or 4 hours, give or take. So, we'll see how it goes. I'm excited and happy, and, just to be in the building of other talented actors doing their thing, making it happen, and just doing, a service for the acting community. I think it's great. I'm going to go ahead and step out. When we come back, the greatest segment of them all, the Q&A segment, the Q&A forum. You ask the questions and I will answer it. So do what you need to do, but come right back, because I'll be back in full force and I'm going to be bringing the heat.
In life, we all want to have great health and excellent physical fitness. However, it's never given, only earned. That said, if you want to go to a gym that will help you to get there, then look no further than Kicked Up Fitness at National Business Parkway in Annapolis Junction, Maryland. Their mission at Kicked Up is to provide the ultimate functioning training facility that focuses solely on your success, with a diverse team that's highly qualified and dedicated to taking your fitness goals to the next level. Kicked Up also offers a variety of group classes and personal training programs that provide something for everyone, regardless of your fitness level. They believe in working hard, achieving results, all while having fun. So come visit their facility in person, which is located at 114 National Business Parkway, Suite 100 in Annapolis Junction, Maryland, 20701. Now, if you see my friend Sean Queen, who's the owner of Kicked Up, tell him that Benny Chow of Miscalculated sent you, and he'll hook you up with a complimentary 7-day pass just to try it out. Need more info? Give him a call. 410-888-9066. Email them at kufitnessnbp@gmail.com or visit them at their website at www.kufitnessnbp.com. Kicked Up Fitness. Never given, only earned.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
We are back. Yes. I'm fired up and ready to go. But before all of that, I just wanted to share a crazy moment. I actually went over to the 7-Eleven that's actually not far. It's within walking distance of the Prototype Studio. And I'm walking over there because I was going to go ahead and get, something to eat, get something to drink. And I find a scratch-off lotto ticket. And, I'm always that type of person that, looks at it and sees something and check to see if there was something that was unclaimed. Come to find out that was actually a winning ticket. Now, what I mean by that is that the winning ticket has a thing where, like, scratch off the bonus rounds, and if there's like something that pops up like a cash prize, then you automatically win that cash prize. You don't have to just, match the numbers and then hope that you'll win the number and get whatever, like $5 that's associated with that number. So I saw it, and it was like, hey, congratulations, you win $10, on the bonus prize. And I had to check it out for myself. So I took it over to the 7-Eleven, got the ticket verified. Sure enough, man, $10. So it was pretty cool. As I'm actually just like really, I'm smiling ear to ear right now because that thing got me a big gulp soda and a hot dog. So, I mean, it's the little things like that, to me, means a lot. And, that was free lunch, man. So I'm really excited and happy. So now we are ready to do what we said that we were going to do. It is the main event of the whole podcast. But as a friendly reminder, ladies and gentlemen, the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience is asking for help on a voluntary basis to anyone that would like to assist our podcast by the ways of sponsorship and or financially donating to our podcast show to help improve the quality of our podcast. And all proceeds that we raise will go towards, getting, more equipment and better equipment that we need here, such as, extra microphones for our in-studio guests and the XLR cables that are associated with those mics, extra headphones for our in-studio guests, and even a new MacBook Pro, an Apple MacBook Pro, which is the official computer of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. It is the computer that is responsible for actually putting out great content that you hear all the time on the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. Whatever total amount that you can donate is appreciated, and it is, again, I have to say it again, it is voluntary, it is not mandatory. But if you find in your heart to actually donate and, just give what you can towards, helping us out, we definitely would appreciate it. And again, no amount it will be rejected. Any and every amount we appreciate. Insert joke. If you want to donate about $5 million, which I definitely think that nobody would ever do that, but you never know, that is appreciated, and we would love you forever. Matter of fact, we would retire with $5 million, and we would probably spend all the time just making content and doing it forever. It'd be cool. So as little as $5, every bit helps, and any amount is appreciated. And you can make a donation by the following. If you have PayPal and or Venmo, you can make a donation by searching me on my tag name. Donate on my tag name, which is at Kim Hoang MD Actor. Once again, that is at KIMHOANG, or Cash App, which the tag name is $ Kim Hoang MD Actor. Once again, that is the $ KIMHOANG MD ACTOR. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the greatest segment of them all, the Q&A segment, question and answers. You ask them questions, baby, and we will definitely go ahead and answer it. And we got 7 regular questions and 3 bonus questions for a grand total of 10. I'm really excited, so I'm just going to go ahead and jump into it right now because I'm that motivated. So, that being said, question number 1. Kim, in the martial arts, what are the differences between the Korean style of karate versus the Japanese style of karate? Sophia from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Great question, Sophia. Again, something that's very familiar in the wheelhouse. Korean style of karate, like, Taekwondo and Tang Sudo, has a big emphasis on, high kicking and the extension of that high kick. And we do a lot of jump kicks, like jump spinning kicks, jump jump back kicks and so forth, jump round kicks. It's very flashy like that. Also, in my opinion, I feel like the stances, when you do stances and forms, it's a little bit more like, it shows a little bit more flexibility. And I think that's the two main elements. Japanese style karate, when they do their stances, it is deep, but I feel like it's a little bit more short and compact. Their kicks are a little bit more shorter. It's not a lot of flash and pizzazz. And a lot of Japanese style karate, most of them actually have weapons in a lot of their karate styles, like Goju-ryu, Shotokan, Shonryu, Shitoryu, arts like that. They have weapons in their curriculum and in their art. So I would say that's, compare and the contrast. Now, I'm not saying that one is better than the other. I think they both have their own advantages, which I think it's really cool. And if you're looking for one, art to kind of train in, whether if it's Japanese style or Korean style or any other style for that matter, I would definitely just take some time to really think about it and, just do like a self-evaluation of the pros and the cons and what you're kind of looking for. So I hope that answers a lot of questions there. Question number 2, Kim, the Baltimore Ravens have now improved their record to 4-5. How do you feel about that? Brad from Severna Park, Maryland. Brad, what up, dog? All the way up over in Route 2 North over in the Maryland side. Yeah, not far from Annapolis, Maryland, where I was born and raised. It makes me very proud to see that the Baltimore Ravens are making some excellent strides now. They have improved. They have won 3 in a row, because we were 1-5 at one point, and it was really disturbing. But then, winning against the Bears, that first game, and not even using Lamar Jackson. And then when Lamar Jackson came back, we won against the Dolphins and the Vikings on the road, which was pretty cool. And the fact that we now have all of our starters, except for Matabike, who's in the defense, but everybody else, I mean, we're pretty much, feeling good, and it's great, and I love it. And honestly, I feel like, man, this is incredible, just for the fact that, we're doing something, we're making it right, we're improving. That's great. And I hope that, that trend keeps going. So that's all I have to say. Question number 3, Kim, what advice can you give when it comes to working in the promo marketing industry? Kat from Brownsville, Texas. Kat, if you really want to jump into it, I would say go for it. Find some promo jobs in the area that, that you have any interest in. And just go for it. Start applying, and if you get picked, it's awesome. That gets your foot in the door. If you want to start, taking it to the next level, and you have a lot of brand ambassador experience, which is the level entry position when you're in the promo marketing industry, then go for something a little bit more that has a lot more responsibility and higher pay, which is like team lead. And once you have all of that going, you have your resume built up for that position, and you start, building up your experience more. Then if you want to do something like touring, like assistant tour manager or tour manager, then start doing that. You got to get your foot in the door, and you got to build the experience. And also, I hate to say it, but I think it's true. It's not what you know, but who you know. So I feel like, that does kind of help out. But overall, you want to make sure that through it all, you do the right things. You get the job done. You dot every I and cross every T. And you make sure that when you do your job, that you do it. Don't lollygag. Don't mess around. Don't be lazy. People see that. When they see you putting in the hard work and they see you got a positive track record, they're going to be like, yeah, We want that guy. So make sure that you are the person that does a good job, build your resume, just, work hard and earn your success, and you'll get there. You'll get there. Question number 4. Kim, is there a genre of film that you have not acted in yet that you would also be dying to get into? Kurt from State College, Pennsylvania. Kurt, I've always wanted to do horror. I've never been in horror, but I think it would be cool. I think it's the one of the genres of film that I've never acted in yet. And I think it would be really cool, just to go ahead and to do that. I think the purpose of an actor when you're in film is that you want to be in anything and everything. You want to be versatile. You just don't want to be the person that is a martial artist and does martial art films only, and action films. Try your stuff in other things like drama, comedy, horror, maybe even musicals. I mean, the sky's the limit. When you put yourself in a lot of genres, you are very versatile, and that's important. Versatility is key. So, there you go. Question number 5. Kim, in a previous episode, you explained about the price points for different karate uniforms. Can you give us an in-depth info on that? Thank you. Mary from Holiday, Utah. Mary, the thing about it is I was explaining about like how uniforms work and so forth, because you have lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight. Now, out of the 3, the lightweight or the student uniform are the ones that basically are the less inexpensive, because there's not a lot of material that's used on that. It's just cotton, and it's very lightweight. So depending on the size, it might be it might cost a pretty penny, but not as much as you think. Like example, I've seen student uniforms for like maybe $20, but that's like for like a child size. Whereas the same student uniform of that student company, for that same uniform, that same student uniform of that martial arts company, if you get like an adult size, then that $20 probably may increase to like maybe $35, which is understandable because it's more material. Now, the second, grade of uniform from lightweight or student weight is the middleweight. So it's kind of like a hybrid between the student uniform, which is the lightweight, and a heavyweight. So you have the flexibility of a student uniform, it being lighter, but it's a little bit more dense, like a heavyweight. So it's kind of like the in-between gap. Obviously, that's going to cost a little bit more because we're thinking about using a lot more thicker cotton material. You know what I mean? So it's going to be very, very, it's going to be increased in the price point. And to some people, that might be very, very expensive. Now, the heavyweight, that's like the cream of the crop. That's real good stuff. That's stuff that's like, you're basically wearing like a bulletproof uniform that's going to last for a very long time. It's got a lot of durability. Usually used more for like, martial art tournaments, especially like in forums. And it's made out of not just cotton, but canvas, which is the same type of fabric that is used on the sails on sailboats. That's going to cost you a pretty penny because the time it takes to make it, the material, you're looking at about like maybe on an average about like $120, right? Whereas the middleweight, that might be like $50 to $60. Now, the only thing that might change that price point is like, if you buy some uniforms that's in the United States, obviously it's not going to be as expensive. Like buying a uniform that's from Seoul, South Korea, and or like a Japanese uniform from a Japanese company that's being imported from respective countries to the United States. So now you're thinking, okay, now there's a bigger brand, you're paying for international shipping and freight and all that stuff, and just like a better quality of uniform. I never try to buy anything of a uniform brand that has a cheap reputation. And just to end it real quick, like, I wouldn't buy Pro Force. I bought Pro Force before, and that's kind of like the generic brand. And I remember buying a lightweight uniform, and I bought it, and it just like ripped up in like 1 month. Even a house brand name of Warrior Emporium in Baltimore, Maryland area, great store, but their uniforms, their house uniforms are, terrible. And it ripped up after 3 days of just like regular use of just training in it. So, brands do matter because, when you deal with like a brand, like let's say Century Martial Arts and Key International and Macho Martial Arts and things of that sort, or Arawasa, brands, like that, Adidas, that it's a good company, and they stand by their product. Their stuff is pretty much solid. So, you basically have to pick and choose at that point. And I hope that kind of helps out a little bit. I don't know if that helped out 100%. I'm just giving you facts of what I know. So if it's anything, that's about it. Question number 6. Okay. Kim, you have a birthday coming up. So what are you grateful for? Doug from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Holy crap. Yeah, Doug. Yeah, for sure. No doubt. I mean, this being the month of November, my birthday will be on November 23rd. I will be celebrating my 48th year in the world. And, if there's anything that I'm grateful for, it's just the fact that I'm still here. Being a person that has a lot of health challenges, congestive heart failure, type 2, and so forth. I just thought that, I would not have made it, but yet I'm still here. I'm fighting the fight. I'm alive and I'm breathing and I'm walking. And I feel like if I'm doing that, then I must be doing something right. And I think at that point, it's like, hey, it's a done deal. Like, things are really, really good. And I'm happy for that. It's a true blessing. Anytime that you wake up in the morning and you're breathing and you're walking, and then you go to sleep and you're breathing, and then you wake up and do the same thing again the next day, is a true blessing. So, that said, I just feel happy. I feel happy. And I'm just blessed to be here, man. Just another day, another day to live life, and another year that I made it where I can just do it all over again. So, I'm just grateful. Very grateful. Question number 7, and this will be the end of the regulation part of the questionnaire before we get to the bonus round. Question 7 is as follows. Kim, what are the 3 things that you must have with you before you leave the house for the entire day? Rosa from Anaheim, California. That's actually an interesting question, but I can already tell you off the bat. I need to bring my medication with me. I have medication that I take for my heart condition, blood pressure, asthma, and so forth. So I need to bring that with me. I need to bring that with me at all times. I think it's very important for me to have that with me. Second thing I need to bring is my iPhone with the recharger. I'm going to put that as a, like a whole package there. I need to have that with me because people try to contact me via text or by phone call. Sometimes I look at social media a lot. So I do need to have my phone with me. It is my lifeline. So, that I always carry that with me at all times. The last thing is my wallet, because it has everything, my license, my debit card and stuff like that. It's very important to have that because if I don't have that, then number one, they won't have anything to identify me when I'm actually on the road driving. And number two, without a debit card, I can't buy food and other things that I need. So I think that's important. So those I probably think are like the three major things that I would need to, have with me at all times before I actually leave for the day, and I think that's very, very important. Now, that being said, we are now entering our bonus round, so here we go with question number 8. Kim, what are your opinions on martial artists leaving the school that they currently train at and for them to train at a rival school that has the same lineage and trains in the same type of information as their first school? Joe from St. Albert, Alberta, Canada. Wow. I know people, Joe, that have trained in one Taekwondo school and then went on to another school because, they teach the same thing, the same stuff that they already trained at the first school. And there was like a lot of reasons. Now, the only valid reason why I would think one person would want to do that is that if you have a bad relationship with most of the instructors and it's really, really dragging you down and you're catching like a lot of mental health stress over it, I can get that. And that's fair because I know that sometimes situations would be like that, and I don't think there's anything wrong in that respect. However, there are other people that are just like, if you train with somebody else and you're basically teaching the same art and the same curriculum, some people may think, oh, well, you have no loyalty to the first school. And that just kind of makes you like, wow, this is so weird that, you want to go ahead and leave your school and this one instructor and go to another instructor in this rival school that teaches basically the same thing. Now, again, I understand if, example, if you're trying to train with somebody, that is familiar with your stuff and actually does train in the same stuff, if you're having a falling out with that one instructor that you started out with, and that does happen, or if you're leaving that art entirely to train in another different art entirely, if I wanted to stop training in Taekwondo and I want to train in Japanese Shotokan karate, yeah, it's a different story. That's a different pursuit. But if you're leaving your one instructor to go to another instructor that basically teaches the same curriculum and the same thing, and you don't have any really valid reason, then I feel like that's a cop-out. I think that you should definitely stay loyal to your teacher and to your school, the one that you are in, and you shouldn't go anywhere else, unless arrangements were made between you and the master and you got permission to jump ship. Yeah, but stay where you are if you can. At least that's the way that I see it. And maybe it's just me, but that's just the way that I see it. So, Question number 9, Kim, what is the best piece of advice that you have ever received in the acting industry? Anne Marie from Sandpoint, Idaho. Anne Marie, I would say the best piece of advice is, work hard and do your very best. Try to avoid the unnecessary drama and the BS, you know what I mean? Because it's one of those things where, like, if you get involved with that, that unfortunately is going to be, your major downfall. And you don't want to be caught in this, the drama, especially like if it's one of those like he said, she said stuff, or try to avoid being in cliques or, making, doing things that you're not supposed to do. Be professional. Do what you need to do. Report on the set on time or early. Concentrate on doing the job. Do your job, and put in the hard work, and it'll show how much serious as you are, that you want to show the world, like, this is me being professional, this is my professionalism. And when people see that, they're going to remember that, and they're going to be like, yeah, that's the dude that we want, so fall in that type of category and not the rest of that stuff. Last question, Kim, can you name 5 of your favorite martial art movies of all times? CJ from Tampa, Florida. Wow, CJ. Oh, God. You're asking a very good question, and I feel like it's like a stake that's being driven to my heart. But if I was to pick 5, in no particular order, I would say the following. I would say Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon, The Best of the Best, with Philip Ree and Eric Roberts. We also have the original, live action version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles back in 1990. That was also a real good one that I liked. 2 more. The original Karate Kid movie from 1984 with Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita. I thought that was a real good movie that actually got nominated for an Academy Award with Pat Morita being for Best Actor. That was really, really cool. And if I had to give one final one, martial art movie wise, God, you really got me good, because there's a lot going on with that one. This is going to be cheesy, but going back to Bruce Lee, The Way of the Dragon, and that is the movie where Bruce Lee's character fought Chuck Norris's character in Rome, Italy, right inside the Colosseum, and they were just like, doing their thing, and that was very iconic as well. And yeah, I think that's it. I mean, those 5 were the ones that made me go like, wow, that's a good martial art movie. And I'm pretty sure that maybe down the line I would probably alter that, but as of right now, that would be my top 5 of all time. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We are done. Thank goodness, because wow, I mean, I was really going to go in that rabbit hole, and we were going to really do it. So I'm just glad that we did it. I think it's great that that we did exactly what we needed to do. It was just awesome. And the fact that, we did it was absolutely incredible. And I'm very happy, I'm proud, and it was just amazing. So, yeah, thank you for tuning in. It was great. As always, let's go ahead and do some closing notes. You can find me on Facebook. Just go over to Facebook, type in facebook.com/the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. Or if you go into Facebook and you can't remember all of that, for the address or the URL, just go under the search box and then type in the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. Please like and follow it. We would appreciate it. We are also on Instagram and Twitter, now known as X. And you can find me under my tag name, which is at TKHPC Experience. That's once again at TKHPC Experience, all in one word, lowercase letters. Follow me and I'll follow you back. We are on 6 podcasting platforms, which is incredible. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Audible, and iHeartRadio. Now, please do me a favor. Please like and subscribe to my please like, follow, and subscribe to my podcast on all of those podcasting platforms. Now, if you have Spotify, please give me a 5-star ranking. If you have Apple Podcasts, please give me a 5-star ranking and a positive written review, because the more times that you do that for both of those podcasting platforms, then the more times that the podcast will go over to the front line and people will be able to discover it easily. And it could be a situation where, you might go ahead and you might see it and you're like, dude, the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, I remember that because my friend Steve told me about it. He said I should, start listening to it, like it, follow it, and subscribe to it. Yes, please do that for everything. We really would appreciate that. And matter of fact, if you can spread the word about us via, social media, whether if it's like Facebook or Instagram or your Twitter, now known as X, or even, if you want to go do it on Snapchat, also on TikTok, we definitely do appreciate that. That would be amazing. Just share our podcast through that, in that method, or just tell your people that you know in person, whether if it's a friend, a family member, a work colleague, or your neighbor or something like that. The word of mouth in that way is pretty cool, and it gets the word out. It really does. And in this business, we call that brand awareness, and we want people to spread that brand awareness, because sharing is caring, and we truly appreciate that. Also, if you guys want to be a special guest on our show, or a special guest host, if you have any constructive criticism, or if you have any questions for our Q&A session, please shoot me an email at the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience at gmail.com. Whatever the subject is, put it in the subject box, and then in the body of the email, write down whatever it is you need to write, send it out, and then within a day or two, I definitely will have read it and will respond back, because I do like that type of correspondence. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Like I always say, this podcast is not just only my podcast, but it's yours too. So the fact that you guys are really in it, and that you guys, love our stuff and you support it, we do appreciate it from the bottom of our heart. And, we just keep on doing this for you. Just please be careful, guys. Please be safe out there. Don't do anything that we wouldn't do. We want you to be healthy and happy and make the right decisions in life, because it doesn't do us any better if you get in trouble and you do something that will put yourself in jeopardy, that will land you into a pine box and get buried 6 feet under. We don't want that to happen, because we want you to be healthy. We want you to be happy. We want you to be in a good frame of mind. Why? Because you deserve it, and we think that you have the potential to do anything that you want in this life if you put your mind to it. So, that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we are out. Again, we want to thank you. It's been an honor and a pleasure to do this episode and many more like it before and even in the future for you guys, because you deserve it, and we love you. We love you very much. That being said, we are going to sign off. Thank you. I love y'all. So for the one time here over in the Prototype Studio in Wheaton, Maryland, this is your boy Kim Hoang, the Asian sensation, saying thank you. I appreciate it. You know, once again, as a reminder, I am the host with the most, the man with the plan, the guy that can bring the power within the hour, and the dude with the right attitude, saying arigato, sayonara. It's been fun, and we will do it again real soon here on the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. It's been real, guys. Take care. I love y'all, and be safe. Peace.